Hi, my name's Simone and I'm content editor for Discover Animals, an online guide to a world of wildlife featuring news, reviews, interviews, competitions and a shop filled with nature-inspired goodies.
Thanks for the introduction, Simone, and I'm Abby Bates, Editorial Director at Discover Animals. I'm also responsible for the website, which is our specialist online guide covering all things to do with animal experiences and wildlife tourism. You'll be hearing more from me about that later in the programme. And just to remind you, Discover Animals can also be found on Apple News and across social media channels including Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, keeping you up to date on all the latest animal news wherever you are. It's been a tough year for wildlife collections around the UK, with zoos, safari parks and aquariums forced to close their gates in March due to COVID-19. Lack of ticket sales and donations had a devastating impact, but despite this, life carried on behind the scenes as keepers and staff continue to care for the animals, and the animals continue to do what comes naturally, including breeding and having young. The Discover Animals website covers all sorts of interesting events at zoos, wildlife and animal attractions. Here today I can give you a taste of the things that are happening, which now offer great reasons to get out and visit animal attractions across the country. Among the new arrivals this year, Trentham Monkey Forest welcomed 4 endangered Barbary macaque babies. Marwell Zoo, a critically endangered black and white rough lemur and zebra foal, and Drayton Manor Park celebrated the birth of a critically endangered spider monkey baby and twins for the adorable emperor tamarins and pygmy marmosets. The warm spring weather saw butterflies emerge early this year, with a record 53 species making an appearance by the end of May. With more time on our hands spent at home during lockdown, we connected with nature like never before. We became citizen scientists in far greater numbers, counting garden birds for the RSPB's annual survey, butterflies and moths for the Big Butterfly Count 2020, and native mammals for a People's Trust for Endangered Species study. There was positive news for beavers this year, with rewilding successes in Scotland and England offering hope for one of our most endangered mammals. Plans are also underway for the Wildwood Trust to reintroduce the native wildcat, another endangered British mammal found only in the Scottish Highlands, and bison as part of a groundbreaking conservation project to restore ancient woodland in Kent over the next 2 years. The British and Irish Association of Zoos and Aquariums announced the winners of their annual photography competition this summer. Open to zoo or aquarium staff and volunteers only, the winning photographs showed the important work of conservation organisations nationwide and gave us a rare glimpse of life behind the scenes during this very challenging time. By July, as lockdown restrictions eased, we were able to visit wildlife attractions once more, although not in the way we did before. Some parks were even able to unveil new habitats, including an immersive wallaby walkthrough at Marwell, brand new Mayer exhibit at Stratford Butterfly Farm, and brand new enclosures at Yorkshire Wildlife Park for the red pandas, otters and spotted hyenas. Looking ahead, October will see the much-anticipated launch of Paradise Wildlife Park's Land of the Tigers exhibit, where visitors can watch majestic big cats swim underwater in a first for the UK. Also in October, Hamish the polar bear, famous for being the first cub to be born in the UK for 25 years, will leave his Highland Wildlife Park home for a new adventure at Yorkshire Wildlife Park's Project Polar Reserves. Longleat in Wiltshire reopened towards the end of June. Set in 10,000 acres of grounds, highlights include 1-year-old tiger cubs, who are not so little now, giraffes, zebras and cheetahs. Within the walk-through areas you will find meerkats, giant anteaters, red pandas and reptiles. 5 southern koalas are amongst the newest residents, arriving in March 2019 and housed in the purpose-built Koala Creek walk-through area. Although not welcoming groups back until next year, as you'll see, there is still plenty for families and individuals to explore. If you'd like to keep up with all the latest animal news, get inspiration for great places to visit and be the first to hear about our fantastic giveaways, visit us at discoveranimals.co.uk or connect with us via social media at DSCVRAnimals on Twitter and Instagram and at Discover Animals on Facebook. And remember, if you've got any suggestions or ideas for great animal stories that we should be covering or experiences you've had during visits, then do get in touch with either me or Simone via the website. And now, an appeal on behalf of conservation charity, the Zoological Society of London, narrated by Sir David Attenborough.
The Zoological Society of London has made an outstanding contribution to conservation and to our understanding of wildlife for 200 years. Today, ZSL's work is vital in driving forward the vision of a world where wildlife thrives. Its two zoos, London and Whipsnade, are home to over 20,000 animals, many of which are endangered in the wild, from tiny dart frogs to majestic tigers, and everything in between. ZSL now faces its toughest challenge to date. Put bluntly, the national institution is now itself at risk of extinction. The coronavirus pandemic forced London and Whipsnade Zoo to close its gates for the first time since World War II, cutting off vital income. Without your help, we could see the closure of the world's oldest scientific zoo, the place where generations of people have forged a love of wildlife through their joyful encounters with animals. Now, more than ever, we must support the work of this global conservation charity.